sort of updates and ongoing tasks, and then we'll come back to the approval of the minutes when we have a quorum later on. Hi, Meredith.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
You know what? This has been a Zoom record. I have had 6 Zooms today, the most by far. I was late to the one with Meg, and then I had one at 2, and then but it's great. It's great. I'm a Zoom.
I know. It's like March all over again.
Right.
When I was on Zoom from the minute I woke up till I went to bed.
Unfortunately, I don't get to wear PJs, so that's the only disappointing.
Yeah. I was thinking this today. I was like, remember when? I mean, are people still like wiping down their groceries before they bring them into the house and all that? Remember that? That was kind of like how extreme things were in March. I don't know if people are that extreme anymore.
My 79-year-old mother is, so if that gives you any comfort.
Okay, that's good. That's good. I never really was that, wasn't that good about doing that anyway. I'm pretty good about it.
We did it first, but then we had heard that you don't have to do that. So we kind of stopped, and knock on wood, I'm safe so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just make sure you wash your hands and all of that, because my mom, who is also in her 70s and doesn't hardly go anywhere, came down with it here the past week or 2, and she's sick as a dog.
Oh man,
really?
I hate to hear that. Sorry, Zach.
Yeah, that's okay. I think she seems to be getting better, but she's still not good by any means. So, like I said, just it definitely made me. I'd gotten kind of lax myself on some of the stuff, and it definitely reminded me that no, okay, this is real.
Yeah. So. Get back to being serious.
Yeah.
Well, that actually gives us a good, unfortunate segue. And Zach, obviously, we are hoping your mom gets better as soon as possible and everybody else stays as healthy as they can. But we only have 4 official members, and then Michaeline is one of our sort of peer groups here. So we'll wait and see if we can get a couple more people who had delays with meetings and whatnot that were going to be a little bit late. So we'll go ahead and do an update on ongoing tasks and sort of move through some of the other pieces of the agenda for the other members to hopefully join us. So ongoing tasks right now, obviously one of our major communications is related to COVID-19 and will continue to be through the next several months. We have a 14-day positivity rate that's right around 13%. We continue to see consistent numbers across the region and including in some of our zip codes. Unfortunately, we saw record cases in July and then record cases again in August. We are carefully watching as everyone heads back to school in this week and last week, and hope to encourage people to take every proactive step that they can to wear a mask, social distance, wash their hands, and stay home when they're sick. So you will continue to see messaging from us on those points. For the duration, message fatigue continues to be a very real and significant issue on all of this, and we are working to provide new information in different ways. This afternoon, we had a meeting with our ESF 6 team that was focused on vulnerable populations. One of the stats that came out of that meeting that is particularly impactful is the minority populations have a 10 times higher rate of catching COVID-19 right now than other populations. So It is a very real issue and something that we continue to look at new ways to communicate with those vulnerable populations, translating materials into different languages, providing flyers and outreach to better reach the different populations and leaders within those populations, and continuing to look at that in a different way. We have also had a faith town hall in which we met with about 40 faith leaders across the Independence area and talked about sort of where we're at and how we can better communicate to their congregations and the groups that they work with, and we'll continue to do that. But we're looking at new ways to communicate with all of the different individuals that we can. And we want to provide information regularly, but not overwhelm them with it. So today we did a post that we understand is controversial, that addressed some of the rumors that have been going on right now related to comorbidity. That is one of the big rumors that came out over the weekend. And while 9% of the individuals were otherwise very healthy that passed away with COVID-19, it is very, very rare for an individual to pass away and not have multiple items listed on their death certificate as a reason for passing away. So we understand that that is something that is not something all of us think about. I mean, I don't think any of us want to think about what's going to be listed on a death certificate, but it is a regular practice. And I believe, looking at some of the stuff, 92% of death certificates have more than one reason or more than one cause that is listed on the actual certificate. So there are a number of things that we continue to do. If you hear rumors or questions amongst those that you are speaking with on a regular basis, be it your church or other coworkers that we can help address, please let us know and we'll add those to our list. We want to make sure that everyone has the information in the best way possible. And so we're continuing on that. The other update that we had is that CGI video. We want to make sure that all of you are aware. We have provided the information to the CGI team for follow-up of footage that they needed, and hope to get a new version of those videos soon. As you can imagine, it's a little bit of a balancing act right now of everything else that's going on and those videos. Plus, we have to be very strategic when we're getting those videos because these are going to be used for a longer period of time than the pandemic. So we need to have images that don't necessarily have everyone in their masks right now. One piece that I would like to discuss on there later this fall. I'll talk. I apologize. Lost my train of thought there. So we are working on that. Are there any other questions on ongoing tasks? And I apologize, I was a little bit distracted as I'm trying to get Angie into the meeting and she is having some technical issues. So other questions?
Where's the final landing place for those videos, Meg? Where are they going to be housed?
They'll be housed on the city's website, and on our main page, we'll incorporate the videos there as well as our branding page with the information and links to the appropriate follow-up sites for the different pieces of them.
So there's been a little bit, I guess I should say, a mixed reaction towards the towards CGI in terms of their outreach to local businesses. And we knew that. I mean, this committee knew about that when we agreed to participate in this program, which I'll remind everybody was free, you know, and came to us through the National League of Cities, but which is, you know, a very credible national advocacy organization that we're members of, as are most cities our size and larger. But if you remember, you know, what we granted them was the permission or entitlement to go out to local businesses and seek sponsorship of these videos, in lieu of us paying for this marketing and promotional tool. Their agreement with National League of Cities is that it would be no cost to cities, but that they could approach our local businesses for sponsorship. And you know, I've received a handful of calls from business owners that I have personal relationships who just said, hey, I got this call, is this on the up and up? And I assured them that it was. And some people had good experiences and some people didn't. And that's, I think, just a reality of, you know, some people are good salespeople and some people aren't, you know, so I bring this up because we are also involved with a program for our line maintenance that also we agreed to participate in through the National League of Cities a few years ago, our service line warranty, where homeowners can essentially sign up for a insurance program. So if they have a major failure in their connection from their house to the utility line, which is the homeowner's responsibility, which many people aren't aware of, that if you have a major, you know, collapse of your connection to the main line, that is your responsibility as the homeowner. So we entered into that agreement. It's coming up for us to either continue it, eliminate it, or potentially expand it. The company that we work with now has the ability to provide additional services. But, you know, there's just concern, I think, among the community and among some of the council members. You know, when they send that letter out, it has the City of Independence logo on it. I mean, it looks like an official City of Independence document that we grant them the permission to utilize our brand to promote that program. My understanding is that they are looking, our representative, who we know fairly, you know, we've gotten to know pretty well, is looking at ways to maybe do that a little bit differently so people don't feel uncomfortable that this is the city's endorsing a particular vendor over another, and that, you know, there's confusion about the messaging. So I just maybe would like, if anybody has any reaction to that. I mean, how comfortable do you feel with a third-party vendor utilizing our city logo? I mean, it's a, you know, business proposition. I mean, there's no question about that. I mean, they're utilizing our brand as an entree to, you know, sell this product. And I think that that's what people are a little bit uncomfortable with. But I mean, we wouldn't even dream of doing it if it went through a lot of discussion on many, many levels, if it weren't something that the National League of Cities had vetted for us and was behind and, you know, was comfortable in. So, I mean, we could pursue a way to maybe do that without incorporating any of the city's marks.
Mayor, do we have a template of the letter, an example that we could see? And have any other cities who utilize this program co-branded with the company so that it's the city's logo as well as the company, so it's transparent?
Yeah, we can get that, Meredith. Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem.
That's exactly what I was going to ask Meredith. And, you know, I have used a third-party salesperson for our directory, and they use our logo for the, you know, with the chamber and so forth, and to reach out to the businesses. And, you know, at first we had some issues. People didn't know who they were, and they were, just like you said, Mayor, they were contacted to see if the company was legit. I think now that we've used this company several years in a row, people are familiar with them. And I think that's part of it, is maybe they're just not familiar with it. And there, you know, there's so many scams out there. So
yeah,
something to be mindful of.
Yeah, but we can get that. And Meg, I think Adam probably has access to that. I think he's been the guy who's been communicating, so maybe we could get that distributed. And I mean, the thing is that, like, there's a huge opportunity for growth. I mean, I think only, you know, 7% of residents signed up for the program. And it is, I mean, me and my husband signed up for it. I've known several people who have utilized it and were grateful that they had that, you know, when they had them, you know, when you have I mean, it's a very expensive repair when it needs to happen. So.
Mayor, have we gotten any testimony other than what you're saying today? This is Michelle. From the people that have utilized the program, and would that be beneficial to help familiarize other citizens of the benefits of the program?
We could probably get that. I think we could reach out to our rep, and he could probably provide that. Yeah. That wasn't really on our agenda, but it just kind of, the CGI experience kind of made me think of that.
So I tried to do a quick search, and I apologize. I have thousands of emails in the 3 years that I've been here, and it did not pop up immediately. So I will look for, I do not have a current example with the new logo of the letter that they would send out to residents, but I believe I have a previous example of what they had sent out to postcards and whatnot to residents. Because when we initially announced this, I believe it was in 2018, there were some concerns, so we've developed some talking points and other things for staff to provide answers and feedback. And it's important to note that while this is an option, we always encourage residents to comparison shop, just like you would on any other insurance item, to find what is best for you and your home. So I will get that information to everyone ASAP.
Okay, thanks.
Is this on the water line? This insurance?
Yeah, it's on the sewer and water.
Okay, because I wasn't aware of it, so.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Michelle, Meg, could you maybe unshare the agenda so we can see each other? There you go. Now I know who's talking.
And we have 2 more members that are having technical difficulties that I'm trying to do tech support with on the side here as we're talking and get everybody on here. It's just a quirky day. I've sent the invite in every shape and form I can imagine. And
it's a full moon tonight. That's why.
It's been a year of weird full moons, so that very well could be.
Every night in Independence. Hi, Quentin. How's the baby?
She's great, thanks. She's in the other room sleeping right now.
I got to see her for a second at the Arts Commission meeting.
Yeah, Chelsea's been taking her around to the rounds and having her on the minutes every day. So
yeah, good. Okay,
so
back to business.
The next thing on the agenda, and congratulations, Quentin, again on that. It's very exciting to have a new addition in the family. My independence and other positive stories. We need more positive stories right now. That is something that people are desperately asking for, is things beyond the news that is going on with all of the globe right now. So my independent stories were very, very well received when we launched those last spring, and we had a few submissions. Those have slowed down dramatically over the last few months, and that is understandable. Everyone's mind has shifted to different things, and we're worried about things that we never thought we would have to worry about. But we would like to, again, reach out to the public and ask for ways to get that feedback again. So if there are suggestions on how to get those submissions of my independent stories and reminders of those, we do have a format on the our brand page, so indep.us/ourbrand. You can find a submission portal that allows you to submit up to 3 pictures and a story, your contact information, etc. And we shared several of those last year, and they were a variety of individuals with different backgrounds and different stories to tell, and that's exactly what we want that to do. The goal is to show the different residents of Independence and their varying ways that came to the city, if they were a longtime resident, a new resident, all of the above. So feedback on that, and then ideas or suggestions to collect some more positive stories from the communities and neighborhoods that are doing all sorts of interesting things to make the current period we're living through a little bit more friendly and manageable.
Okay, so a couple things that come to mind. I think, going back to school, first day of school stories are fun. I mean, nostalgic stories from residents about, my favorite teacher when I was in school growing up in Independence. All the first day of school pictures. I mean, everybody has their pictures, right? We all have, our parents and grandparents have, these pictures of being in school. So, some stories about like young school would be really interesting. I mean, the kind of historical stories. I mean, I know we don't want to just be totally nostalgic all the time, but, I just don't think there's anything that really unites a community more than its schools, and favorite teachers and that people had growing up. And so that's one idea that I think we would get a lot of response about. I sent Meg, and it's probably not real original, but I thought about doing, something about, we're probably not going to have, I mean, I'll probably have the mayor's prayer breakfast somehow, some way. I normally do it around Thanksgiving, and the theme is always some form of gratitude. But I was thinking we could get like some giant pumpkins and have them in places like the farmers market and our community centers, and maybe in some schools, Meredith, I don't know. I mean, around town where people could, just write, something that they're grateful for, and have these, great big pumpkins around. We could do them around the square in Englewood, and maybe the Independence Center, work with them, and have some times where people could just come and wipe off their pen between, entries. I just think that would maybe shift people's focus from, fear and, sacrifice to gratitude.
It's a good idea. Really good idea. When you were talking about the school stories too, I know there's some Facebook groups groups, and one of them is for like William Chrisman. And I wonder if that would be a good place to solicit back to those former, attendees that we were soliciting stories about back to school. So that might draw some interest there, because I know it's hard to get the attention back to the website to get people to sign up. So do you want me to put a posting on there? Is that appropriate, or?
I think you're muted, Mayor, but I think that would be great because you have to be a member on those Facebook groups to get that information in there. So if there are locations where we could solicit those, I think it would be tremendous.
I know
on that group.
Michelle's mom and dad and my husband's parents graduated high school the same year, and Harry Truman spoke at their graduation, which none of them thought was any great big deal. But I know, lots of friends around town and mostly older generations who, they get together regularly with their class, and they have, before COVID, they would, have monthly like breakfasts or coffees. And I think some of them are still getting together on Zoom and stuff. So there's some really close connections, through the schools. And I know some people, we can find some people around town who attended Young School, and I think that would be a really cool story to tell too.
We did a story a couple of years ago where we actually interviewed some of the students that had gone to the Young School, and we were able to get a hold of a scrapbook that someone had put together with different classes from the school and some of the graduation announcements and other pieces of that. That was really cool, and actually it gave the Historic Society a connection to some resources that they hadn't previously seen. So I think that one we can brush off.
Yeah, have to create original content. Drum Farm would be another really interesting one. I mean, my husband and Michelle probably too, talks about, going to school with the Drum Farm boys. So that's a really interesting story as well. But I think just, letting people share their pictures of them when they were in school or at school or with with their teacher or doing a school activity would be fun.
I think it's a great idea. Do you guys have any others that you would like us to sort of poke at for the My Independence stories or positive stories? Okay, so the next thing on the agenda, and we actually do have a quorum right now with 6 of our members on here, so we'll go ahead and look at the minutes really quick and approve those. I have 2 things open on my desktop, so not the right one. Apologize, guys. Technology is fun. Okay, you guys should have all gotten a digital copy of this as well. Were there any updates, changes, edits that you would like me to add to these?
No, I think they look good.
Okay. If we can get an approval by affirmation, so all those in favor of approving?
Aye.
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 Okay. And we will say that those are approved and go on to the next thing in the agenda. So the review of goals was next, and the 3 goals that you guys set out earlier this year were increase civic pride, highlight that independence is a great place to live and work, and to increase awareness amongst younger generation of the city's history and Truman. So wanted to talk to you guys sort of about how you would like to proceed, understanding that we're in a very unique time right now. That makes it more challenging to get some of this stuff out there and heard, but let's focus on the first one, increased civic pride. Any suggestions on outreach or efforts that we can do going into the fall?
We, I don't know if promoted is the right word, but that the new signage on the 24 highway bridge, that looks really nice. I don't know if we can share something about that and show that off.
So there is a plan for an unveiling of both the bridge and the library. At this time, partners at those locations, particularly the bridge, are not doing events because of the situation that we are in, and gathering criteria, all of that. So we do hope to have a ribbon cutting and unveiling of that as soon as we can, but have to work with everybody that's involved there.
Meg, this is Quentin. I wonder if the My Independence stories could be a good way to build some of that civic pride. And you had mentioned the kind of exhaustion that we're trying to avoid with pandemic related things on social media. I think perhaps if the city pushed some of those, or like a link to where they could fill out the form, or even if they could comment with some information or a small story, and then the city could follow up, that might be a way to start building some of that civic pride.
Good feedback. Okay. Well, I think one thing we could do this weekend is share your favorite Santa Calagon story, because while it's unfortunately not occurring in the same way it usually has in the past, there is still a Santa Calagon going on this weekend, and we can ask people to share their favorite stories and pictures and get those out over the next few days.
You know, one thing maybe too is what you're doing instead of Santa Calagon, or how you're still bringing on Santa Calagon. Like, I ordered a peach cobbler, I'm going to pick it up, and I plan on, you know, getting my spoon and digging in it and taking a picture and put it on Facebook. I mean, and have my T-shirt, maybe. It's supposed to ship. So, I mean, it's like those type of things too, in lieu of, besides of what we did in the past for Santa Calagon. And I'm sure we've got a lot of pictures at the Chamber of Santa Calagon. So
we do. And the next few days, you'll see a lot of postings through the weekend. And we have some videos that we have coming out. And maybe we can do something like that, and we can ask, we can ask the public, you know, what's your favorite story or your favorite memory of Santa Calagon, or even like you said, Mary, what are you doing in lieu of Santa Calagon this year?
Another thing too is we have that Bob Jovi virtual concert Friday night. You know, it's just like, you know, singing along. I don't know, just trying to think of, you know, different types of things that, you know, we could do as a positive of what's going on the weekend, in lieu of the masses of people that would have been down on the square, even walking around the square.
Right.
You know, I think that's a fun way that we can do that. And Santa Calagon is a big tradition for so many families in Independence. So we'll definitely look at some ways that we can do that, and maybe even sharing some of the chamber stuff as well. So beyond 24 Highway, Santa Calagon, My Independence Stories, what else on Civic Pride?
Meg, I was just wondering, is there a way to kind of piggyback on the chamber and some of the vendors that are doing the online services? And like, I'm thinking like the Boy Scout troop with the cobbler was mentioned, and so somehow latching in so that the Boy Scout troop is then helping to push out the city's civic engagement messaging in their attempt to sell more cobblers.
Yeah, we can ask.
Yeah, they've done a really good job. Actually, the Boy Scouts or the Cub Scouts have, and they have really gotten that out. And you know, sometimes our vendors get a little busy, but you know, not now that we're not having Santa Caligon, maybe they will have some more time to, you know, say something positive about Santa Caligon and what it's done for them. And, you know, maybe we can reach out to them and see if we can get some of them to post something. But we do have some videos, like I said, that will be coming out within the next week or so, that we've done interviews with several of our vendors. So I think you guys will be really impressed with that, and they're hearing their testimony with Santa Caligon.
I hadn't looked at the website until now. I kind of popped it up, but it looks really good. So hopefully you're getting a lot of action there. And now I'm going to order a cobbler. Because
well, thank you. Thank you. Yes, please do. I just ordered mine today, and yeah, they're doing a phenomenal job with that. And so are several of our other vendors. They've got some really nice setups on our virtual Santa Caligon website. So it's virtual.santacaligon.com if you guys want to check it out. Or if you go to our santacaligon.com website, there is a link there where you can click on that, and it will take you over to those vendors that are selling online. And then we will have the live stream video of Bob Jovi starting on Friday at 7 p.m. Yep.
Very good. Anything else that sparks an idea for?
Well, and I think also, you know, talking about civic engagement within the businesses, you know, a lot of our businesses do a lot of civic work behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know about. And if I hear of, you know, I don't know of all of them. It's very hard to keep up with everyone, as you know, but, you know, I'll see things and see posts, and sometimes they'll send me pictures or posts. And if I find anything that I think is something good that we can push out there, I will be sure to send the committee here those messages and so forth, and anything that I have with that.
Okay. Well, I think that gives us a few things to work on here in the next month or so, between the school stories, the Santa Caligon stories, and sort of just the back to school memories. That's a lot of what September is everybody getting back into the school sort of swing of things. Even as a community, it's getting back into it, and it's a unique year for families as we're balancing virtual students, in-person students, hybrids, and all of the things in between there with the different school districts. So I think that's very timely and apt for right now. Is there anything else under increase in civic pride?
Okay. And Meg, when you say the fall, you're talking, I mean, seasonably, like through the November, December time period too. Is that what you're thinking, or just to start the month of September, October?
I think just through September, really. Okay. October, you start to transition to, I think it's fun to focus on the ghost story side of things. There are so many fun ghost stories related to independence and that side of things. But then November, you get into like the gratitude and the Thanksgiving spirit, and then Christmas, it's obviously December rather, it's obviously Christmas and the holidays and other celebrations with families and stuff like that. So I would say September is back to school, and then by October, you're transitioning to other things.
It might be nice to showcase. You mentioned some of the back to school things, but I think it's amazing how our community has just had such camaraderie and connection and come togetherness, if you will, to support some of the gaps and unmet needs and emergent needs around the pandemic. And so, you know, I mean, between CSL to Kappa to, I mean, just countless organizations who have fed and done things, it might be great to just, whether we see them or share them or have them shared on the city's page, when we see those kind of shout outs of folks who have done things in high volume or have met the need, you know, to make sure families can go back to school. I think retelling that story is so important too, so.
Okay, no, that's good feedback too. And I try to keep a close eye out for those more positive stories. I haven't done as many with the back to school pieces because CSL does a tremendous job every year. And I think I just sort of take it as, yep, CSL is always awesome and sort of gold star them all the time. But I forget that not everybody sees everything that we do on this. So that's a good reminder to me that I can share some of that, as well as the other. I mean, Epic Church does a tremendous job of giving all of the kindergartners in the Blue Springs School District their supplies to get things kicked off at school there. And there is a lot of support to make sure that the kids have what they need to learn as best they can. So that's a good reminder. Thank you, Meredith. Okay. So the second goal that you guys highlighted is highlight that independence is a great place to live and work. That one's always an important one. I would see that it's a little more challenging right now because we can't highlight the shops and the restaurants and other such things like we would usually do, because while everybody is getting out and all of that, there's still suggestions of social distancing and limits on capacity and stuff like that. So any suggestions you guys have, we're open to. And then the third goal is increase awareness of the younger generations of the city's history in Truman. I think we'll have a unique opportunity on the Truman history when the library breaks, like officially does their ribbon cutting this fall and talks about the new things there. I know that the mayor did a tour yesterday with Senator Blunt, and they sort of talked about the work that's ongoing there. Mayor, is there anything you would suggest we keep an eye out for?
Well, Senator Blunt was in town yesterday, and so we met at the Truman Library and got a kind of sneak peek tour. It's not even really a hard hat tour anymore. I mean, it's beyond that, so it's really incredible to see. So they are planning to open right around Halloween or 1st of November. You know, to whatever extent they can. None of the presidential libraries are open right now. But there's going to be, some opportunities for some special events and, virtually and otherwise, I would hope. And then, kind of the big, having all the presidents there and stuff that we were anticipating is just postponed probably till this next spring or summer. We just gotta wait and see how things go. All of our former presidents are, except for Barack Obama, in the vulnerable category. So travel and everything is kind of difficult. But yeah, it's pretty spectacular. It's going to be, and as Christy knows, we're working on some funding for marketing for our tourism sites and gathering some information to appeal to the governor for some funding for other things. I mean, I'm having Eric pull this together for me, but or it was probably landed on Christy's desk. In terms of, I mean, take away Branson, the Ozarks, the outdoor recreation areas, parks. I mean, and shopping, retail, and just focusing on actual tourism destinations. And Truman Library's got to be, I mean, the Arch, the World War I Museum, and the Truman Library are probably, neck and neck. I mean, we got to be in the top 3 there in the Truman home, or 5, maybe, if there's something else I'm not thinking of. But construction, I mean, the renovation's going great, and it's incredible to, you know, all the flyovers that some of you guys have seen and presentations, that's just what it looks like. I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like just like how we drew it up. It's incredible.
That's really exciting.
Yeah.
There is a limited edition Charlie Hustle shirt that is celebrating that. That's available right now and does support the library. So if you guys are interested in that, they've got that link up on their website right now, and it's got Truman's picture, and I can't remember what it said on the front, but it's basically celebrating 75 years. So it's pretty cool. And so cool. Yeah, we'll look for that. And obviously later in the fall, as we get closer to the final date that I'm sure we will get the notice of and help support in any way we can. Any other history or Truman things that you guys would like to see us focus on? Okay. Well, if you have anything or a quote that you would like us to use, let us know. The quote that we used with that historic photo of the two women wearing the masks from the 1920s was shared 278 times and reached almost 30,000 people. So it was one of our most successful posts recently related to the pandemic, and I appreciate you guys giving us that idea. Unfortunately, the Historical Society does not have a lot of images from that period, so they have a limited resource for us on that, but the stats that they were able to give us of the impact of the 1918 pandemic and the picture were eye-opening, and that I think over 6% of the population of Jackson County passed away as a result of the pandemic at that time. So it was an interesting look back. But if you have any other ideas or a quote from the president, let us know that you would like us to utilize. We're constantly looking for ideas like that. We had talked last time about having sort of I wear my mask for and some other submissions from you guys. I know everybody gets really busy, but if you have any of those and still want to send them our way, we would love to utilize those images and videos of our residents sort of supporting the effort. So the next thing on the agenda is ideas and roundtables. So if there's any suggestions, thoughts based on today's conversation, or just sort of in general what you guys are seeing, the floor is yours. Okay. Well, if you have anything that you want us to know or look for, you are all have my email and phone, so you're more than welcome to send me information. We really appreciate you guys sort of giving us fresh ideas right now as we are continuing to work through a unique time in our history and a challenging time for all of us. So I am excited about the My Independence ideas that you guys have here, and we'll look to get out some posts probably on Santa Calagan the next couple of days, and then schools as I think 3 of our 4 school districts go back to school next week on September 8th. So we'll ramp up our back to school messaging next week and just really ask for those. If you are a member of a Facebook group or other group that has previous graduates of independent schools, please share the requests for them to, share their nostalgia stories, their first day of school pictures, their graduation pictures. I know there's a lot of pride for the different high schools in Independence, and a little bit of rivalry between the different factions there as well. So that would be a fun one to highlight. So thank you guys, and if there's not anything else, we will see you again in September, or I guess October now. It is September. All right. Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you, Meg.
Bye.